like to welcome everybody to another edition of the Major Music Lounge. We're actually joined by producer Bishop today. Going to talk to us a little bit about some of the things that he's been doing and a little bit more in terms of music production. So what's good, Bishop? How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. It's looking pretty good weather here in Florida. And pretty much I've just been messing around every day with something new, whether I'm learning something and trying to put that into practice or making a little beat or something. But how are you today?
Oh man, doing pretty good as well, man. It's a little bit cold out here in Texas, but we're making it and just trying to get into like back in the swing of things as a new year and kind of took the month of December off. I wouldn't say completely off, but I wasn't doing as much production last month. Had a lot of people visiting from out of town and just kind of wanted to spend time with the family. So yeah, just really getting back in the swing of things. Definitely a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. To add to that, it seems like a lot of people did that in December as well, wanted to spend time with their families, stuff like that. And there was a lot of people that were just, I think, have been working really hard and kind of just sort of recognize that they deserved a little bit of that time as well,
Yeah. It's always good, especially as a creator, to just take some time and recharge and, kind of get started again. I feel like, as far as like me personally, I feel like when I do those little breaks, I come back with some fresh ideas and it just helps me a little bit more longer term than just trying to push through it. Cause, I don't know if you may have participated, like, for example, in the Beattober event that happened a couple of months ago, but that's a prime example, just like making beats all the time, making music every day. And while it is good, sometimes that you got to refill that creative tank and, it's good to take a step away as well. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get started with music production and how long have you been creating music?
Good. So, my music creating has been for a long time, probably since I was a little dude. I started out learning guitar and stuff like that. And, from there, just went to school and I did things in school. Like, for instance, I was in marching band. I did jazz band. I did guitar and drums and that. And it was just a lot of music going on there. My dad always listened to bands that had a lot of like technical playing and stuff, people that really played their instruments, like Black Sabbath, stuff like that. Listened to a lot of real good drummers and guitar players growing up. But it wasn't until, I've recorded a long time with a buddy of mine, and we always, it was more like a hangout kind of thing, really, I would say, because we never really got anything successful out of it. It was a lot of fun, long, really mixed up, messy stuff, but it wasn't until last year that I began to learn music production, that I actually took the step of like, because it where I'm at, it's hard to have a band. It really is. Number one, a lot of dads out there, really hard to get time, and that's understandable. You know what I mean? The family and the kids and the wife and stuff, they always come first. And, then there's the job and then maybe some music and stuff like that. So it's hard to really get serious unless you're like recording. And in that case, things can be planned a little differently than live playing. So I kind of stepped back from wanting to play live with other people and create music that way to this just seems like more up my alley. I started watching these Tatro videos because I was like, I'm gonna get me a MIDI controller, and that's the guy to go to if you're wondering what controller to get. Not really, but it made me it gave me like this huge boost because the guy made more sense than some of these older fellas that are like, drawing on a dry erase board behind them, and it's math and stuff, and I'm just like, it's weird. It seems like I've noticed that the teaching like vibe, I guess, for lack of a better term, has gotten so different now. It's a lot younger, it's a lot refreshing, it's very relatable now. And it's it's just, I don't know. That's what I got from Tatro, and I sort of boosted from there. So basically this past year, I was like, hey, I can actually make some of these sounds, because, you watch some of these fellas on stream, and they might make something that seems crazy sound design wise. And you're like, dang, now all of a sudden I got a brass horn, and he just showed me how to make a little like hip hop lick real quick with that. So now I'm doing these little, and you just start throwing that in the bag, and then eventually you add that into songs. And I guess that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm finally putting everything together. I just got a new a Maschine MK3, so I'm going buck wild on that, learning all kinds of stuff I can. I mean, it's addicting. But yeah, that's pretty much where I am today.
Yeah, a lot of similarities in that. I was in band as well, coming up. That was, wow, about 20, a little over 20 years ago. But I, about a year ago, got back into like playing the trumpet. I played a lot of brass instruments in band. Trumpet was pretty much what I started playing like way back in middle school. Then when I got to high school, my band director was like, hey, David, we want you to move over to baritone, learn baritone. Then I got on French horn. And then I pretty much alternated in between all three of those. So I can definitely relate to you in terms of the band situation. What instrument did you play?
So I went in, and they did not like me wanting to play percussion right off the bat, because I never had any band class experience. I couldn't read music and stuff like that. But I've been playing a long time, and it took some convincing, but my parents got them to let me play snare drum. And so I did that in middle school. And then in high school, I did, in marching band, I did snare. But in jazz band, I played both guitar and sometimes drum set off and on. It would depend, because there was another kid, he played the drums and stuff. So, we kind of shared that and stuff. But yeah, throughout that, we went to like marching band competitions.
Yeah.
You do the symphony band and stuff. They originally tried to have me on trumpet though, because they try to start you on like a easy, the beginner stuff. Like, you ain't ready for percussion yet, kid. And so I tried all these things, and I couldn't do any of the reed stuff because it was just too hard to finesse my armature or whatever it is that you call it, the way you move your mouth and stuff. It was just hard, man. It was goose honks all day. That's all I got was goose honks. So it was embarrassing. And I could do like the trombone one kind of, but the best thing I could do was blow on the trumpet mouthpiece. It was like the easiest thing. But, like I said, I went to pretty much drums there. So I got schooled in a lot of rhythm, cadences, and things like that as far as drums go, especially snare.
I always wanted to, that's an instrument I always wanted to learn how to play, especially back then. And I mean, you spoke on it. I mean, the whole festival thing. And I just remember, actually, we went out to a festival in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I think that was like way back in like 99 or something. And just the whole feel of those guys playing the snare and just how they were vibing. And then even the guys on the kick drum, I enjoyed that too. I never really got around to learning drums. That's probably something, I may eventually get into at some point. And then, what I also wanted to ask in reference to like your whole background in band is, has learning music theory when you were in band helped you out in music production?
Big time. And I say this because like it's a hard thing to sort of pinpoint, but my train of thought is like, you could make great music with like 3 notes, but you could also, it really helps to make what you want to make if you understand context of things and certain techniques and rhythmic moves, you not just with the actual notes, but with your hands and the way that your hands move. There's a lot of muscle memory to it, and just knowing some of these song techniques or rhythm techniques and stuff like that, it really changes things. It makes you more confident, I will say, for sure, because you feel comfortable, you feel confident, because you can go a lot more places. You know what I mean? It's easier to find a melody. Not even just putting it into scale mode and stuff like that. Like if you just do chromatic on these pads, it is it's pretty easy for me to find, even if I'm in a genre I don't know what's going on, it's pretty easy for me to find something that I think works musically based on stuff I've heard. So in other words, I've learned all of this bookwork and stuff like that. And not that I know a lot about that, but it helps me recognize from music I've heard on the radio and stuff. Like, oh, he's just doing that. He's just doing that. And yeah, totally. It helps me be more contemporary, I guess. You know, make it sound more listenable to the listener.
Yeah, I totally agree. It kind of felt like when I started producing music, you know, I already went in with a basic understanding of like scales, about measures, about timing, about like extending notes versus staccato notes.
Right, exactly.
And just a lot of different basic fundamentals of creating music. And while it is good to, you know, I'm not the one, and this is an ongoing debate in our, you know, music production community about guys that don't have a background in music theory, but just pick up like FL Studio, for example, or, you know, any program for that matter, and they just start making beats. But I always say that, you know, regardless of how you came up, even me, you know, being involved in music pretty much since the age of like 13, I'm 40 now, but I still like to go back and revisit some of those fundamentals year after year, because it helps me in order to create better music. And, you know, just by knowing what key a song is in, and, you know, little things like that can help you create better music.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a firm believer in, if you don't use it, you kind of tend to lose it type thing. So if you don't keep certain things in the practice, like for instance, what you said about just fundamentals and stuff, man, some of the best players I've ever known. Of course, I know some people that just never practice and they're just godly all the time. But for most people, if you just keep practicing every single day, you will stay sharp. You'll, and again, that ties into the confidence thing. You know what I mean? You have a lot of practice under your belt. You know, you feel comfortable, especially in front of other people, busting something out and trying to kind of free flow everything. But and yeah, you're right. Like, you know, there are a lot of people that don't know. I know some people that don't know anything about music. They haven't touched a guitar. They haven't even like beat on a desk before, you know what I mean? Or tapped their foot. And I think that's the core fundamental to all music to me, is using your ear, listening skills, and rhythm, feeling. It says a lot about a person if they, you know, tap their foot or nod their head every time they hear something. They just can't help that. I think that is very promising, because it means you're locking into that groove. If you can't log into that groove, like you know, like a metronome or something, it's really hard to learn that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing I kind of wanted to touch on is, you know, you're also a Maschine user, just like I am. And, you know, I noticed you making first, I guess the first question I got for you is, what made you choose Maschine? Because I know, like, for me, at the time, I've been using Maschine for probably close to about a little over 10 years or so. But at the time, I remember I was using Reason and Logic a little more. I still use Logic till this day, and a little bit of Reason. But one of the things that I liked about Maschine at that particular point in time was, now things have obviously changed, like with MPC and, you know, Ableton, and just a lot of the like controller-based software combination music production setups. It was probably the first one, and then came all the other things. And what I liked about it is just the whole ecosystem of the expansions and the workflow of the Native Instruments ecosystem as well, because I also got like the Complete Control. I have the Maschine Jam in addition to Maschine Micro. But what made you choose Maschine as far as your production tool?
So that's I'm always eager to answer that question. So I'm glad you asked it. Because I could talk about Maschine all day. I really love it. What made me choose that one? For a while, I wanted the MPC because at the beginning it was all my Dilly used one, so and so used one. Like that's what you got to do, man, to get into that. But I realized there has to be kind of like a crossroads where the two worlds meet, because back then they used some of this stuff because that's all they had, and it was innovative to actually use some of those things because it wasn't normal to do this or that. So that was actually interesting. If some of those dudes were alive today, I wonder how many of them would be cracking open Ableton or something, because I've heard RZA talk about that quite a bit. He's like, man, nowadays you could just pop open Ableton and click, 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 versus back in the day, when you're pressing buttons on a big piece of hardware and stuff. But yeah, so the Maschine was really fancy to me for that because it was a classic name. And I just wanted it, but or the MPC, I'm sorry, but the Maschine really took over because of like you said, the software, the ecosystem, the expansions, everything that comes out of the Maschine just sounds good right out of the gates. All of the sounds, the groups, the instruments, you can even use your own plugins on there, which is crazy. Because I thought it would only be Maschine stuff, but even their internal stuff is good. You plug in a sound, it's like halfway sound designed already. Everything already sounds good. So that gives me more time to get in there and just create. I just have fun. It's like a sandbox, busting out a Lego set where all the pieces match. Kind of, I guess that's a good way to describe it. The effects that are already on some things. And as far as the expansions go, I think they are top quality. I buy a lot of sound packs. So this was like, I was like, man, I don't think I'll regret a single sound pack on here. Like the crate cuts, love that one. I love it. That kicks are dusty and I mean, it's great. You can just go in there and tweak everything. If you don't want the dust, then get rid of the dust. But they're all nice and mixed, and they just make me feel creative. So big win on that. The workflow looked really good. I noticed there's a lot of videos for the Maschine, so it's something that I can kind of probably teach myself because there's plenty of information out there. That's kind of how I buy new gears. I look at how easy is it going to be for me to look up how to do stuff on this, and It is. I don't have the standalone one, but I was like, okay, I'm confident I'm not going to be traveling enough to require the standalone features. So I do have it chained up to the computer, but I mean, I'm fine with that so far. It's been great. It's got all the connections I need. Pretty much does all of the stuff. The only thing I don't like is the performance effects. It's a pain to. It's not like the SP404.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't just get in there and you got to kind of route things a certain way and get tricky with it, or automate. But other than that, man, the workflow, I love it. It makes me feel like I'm making some hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. I got to ask you this because, you mentioned expansions. So what would you say? You mentioned crate cuts. What would you say are your favorite expansions? If you could pick three.
Dang, man, there's this one, I can't remember the name of it, but it was something along the lines of like crate cut style name, something like that, like some like old digs or something. Maybe I can't remember the name, but I was scrolling down and it's not quite like lo-fi, but it's very like old school, like the drums sound tuned down already, kind of. It was very much like Craig Cuts, but less melodic. You know what I mean? A little darker. I'll find the name for it and I'll send it to you later.
Let's see. I'm looking now.
Oh, you got it pulled up?
Yeah,
Let
they
me
got
pull it up.
Faded Reels, Basement Era.
Faded Reels was one I wanted. Yeah, that one. Basement Era, that sounds kind of familiar.
That one's kind of like a old school hip hop boom bafish type.
Yeah, that might be the one I'm thinking of then.
That one's good. Let me see. There's one more that I really enjoyed. Prospect Haze.
Prospect Haze.
That was
favorite that.
A kind of on along the same lines as like Craig Cuts and Basement Era. That one's made by the production team Raw Cuts. I don't know if you used a lot of their samples, but I would probably say those three for me: Craig Cuts, Prospect Haze, and Basement Era. And man, I mean, just the same thing. It's gotten to the point where how Native Instruments has that expansion sale every year around Christmas time. Like they had it this past year, and I didn't even. I have so many of the expansions, I didn't even buy anything because there was nothing I was interested in.
Well, the thing is with that too, man, it's you get so much stuff. I know people are just addicted to click and buy, but you get so much stuff that where I have to poke around my sounds. Like I literally have to set a day aside to go through the entire pack of its entirety. Otherwise, it's a little uncomfortable for me to use a new sound pack that I'm just totally unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
Because 5 minutes later, I'll find a better sound for this and that. And it's just helps me be more organized if I go up and down the list and I know what everything sounds like, you know.
Yeah.
Take like a mental picture of what all the kicks sounded like. So I know what I'm pulling from when I make a song out of it.
Yeah.
But with these native ones, man, they're just so good. They're labeled very nicely. The groups are probably the craziest thing. That's something I like to play with the most because I'll like reverse engineer it. You know, I'll say how did he do that side chain on that compression? You know, how deep did he have that input knob? You know, it's helped me learn it, man. It's not a complicated groove box in my opinion.
Nah, not at all. Like to any like producers out there who's looking probably like for their first DAW or beat making program or app, definitely want to check out Maschine. I mean, you can get started as little as like $349 for the micro, and then I think it goes all the way up to probably like about $1,500 with the studio. So definitely check it out. And the expansions, I mean, you could find either on sale sometimes for half off or at most $50. And then of course you got a lot of the other instruments that are a part of Maschine. But yeah, definitely check it out. Listening to your sound, because I went through on your the link on your page and I listened to a couple of tracks. You do have that kind of like chill hip hop sound, lo-fi hip hop sound. Who are some of your influences as far as beat making?
As far as beat making, man, it's crazy. I got a lot of old people I draw from, like for sure Pete Rock.
Yeah.
Definitely Pete Rock. Premier.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of old New York hip hop. I like the way it tells a story. You know, you really understand where these folks are coming from in those lyrics. But more contemporary up till now. You know, MF Doom.
Yeah, rest in
all
peace.
that, of course, all that stuff. Jay Dilla. This one cat, man, he makes this, I don't know what you would call it, tropical funk chill hop, maybe. It's this dude named Flamingosis. Okay. And he makes you'll hear a lot of like those old, almost shaft guitars with like some melodic flutes, and then the drums are just going everywhere. And he makes his stuff on an MPC. He's a modern guy I love. But my range goes everywhere, man. I constantly listen to different styles of hip hop. This guy Ginseng, he makes really great chill lo-fi style stuff that feels good, nostalgic, just gives you a good feeling inside. Sometimes I like to get a little gangsta with it. You know what I mean? Listen to some Nas and stuff. Yeah. It depends. I feel like hip hop's got a different genre for every mood now.
Yeah,
like it's great.
So many different directions.
Absolutely, you could pick a different anything. You can get stuff with lyrics, instrumentals. What I like most about hip hop is it's almost, in some regard, it's almost expected to be hearing some instrumental stuff with no lyrics, because that is a very big thing there. With like a lot of rock music and stuff like that, because I don't have just a hip hop background, but with like a lot of rock music, you kind of need lyrics. It needs to be a song, you know what I mean? Otherwise, nobody wants to sit around and listen to you play guitar all day.
Oh.
But a beatbox, man, I don't know, just it changed my music world getting this thing for sure. It made me feel more into the sampling thing. It helped me sample better. And as we talked about before, I think, man, if you're tired of going to different places and buying different sample packs from different people, you can still use those with the Maschine. Definitely can still use those for the Maschine. But the Maschine packs, like, I'm comfortable buying more of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I thought, like, really the last 2 years, they've cranked out some really good packs, and I'm very anxious to see what they got next coming as far as like 2022 releases. Because a lot of the sample packs that we talked about came out pretty much in the last 2 years. So we'll see what lies ahead. Now, what I want to transition to is one of the things that I like about you personally is your engagement on social media. Like, you post a lot of videos of yourself creating, and I feel like, I've had this conversation with other producers that have been on the podcast, as far as there are a lot of talented people out there, but they don't really post anything that they're working on, and they're not really engaged. And I know some people do it for the love. Some people do it for, they have a passion for music. Some people do it to grow their following. What's your thoughts on creators staying engaged on social media as far as putting out content? Doesn't have to be anything extensive, like a full-blown music production video on how to create a beat, but just showing like what you're working on and staying engaged with the people that follow you.
I think it's important to do it a little bit, at least, like, whatever you can manage, within reason. It's like, some people are trying to do it more and they have like busy stuff going on. I totally get that. But for those like us that are trying to engage more and grow their followers, and for whatever reason they do it, me as a watcher, when I see like the stuff that you're working on, I'm like, I feel more connected with you, because I'm like, oh, nice. That's, I recognize the kind of style he's working on. I grow more with that person. I get to know him better. Yeah. You know what I mean? I see more context, more behind the scenes stuff. I like that kind of thing. I think we're all sort of, in a way, with this Instagram and all that, I think we're a bit voyeuristic in that, we want to see the real you without the perfect lights on you and stuff like that. Of course, we always want to see that stuff, but there's a lot of channels that I just see are not nobody, but that person is not really showing anything. And I've noticed that I favor the ones that are doing stuff every day. There's this girl drummer that I watch. She's insane with the feet. I mean, her feet can kick. And she posts every single day, not necessarily on a post, but at least in the stories. And the stories, that's, I guess, where your followers are seeing everything. because it doesn't go out to everyone. It's just your followers. So getting to see that, and I'll react to it, and then they react back to, like, I don't know. I enjoy engaging. I enjoy writing back to people, especially if they have a question about what I'm doing. You know what I mean? It makes me feel like they appreciate what I'm doing. And obviously, you know, the goal is to be helpful. You know, anytime somebody has a question or a problem, or they want to be a little bit like you, I think that's A, flattering, and B, it makes me want to post more. Yeah. But as far as why I do it, of course I want to see a little bit of love. You know, it's nice to get a little, I really like to know if something's good or not, you know? So that kind of lets me know, hey, a bunch of people really like this. So that sort of gives me a feeling for how I'm doing, you know, as far as the stuff I'm making, if that makes sense. So I think it could be important for an analytical aspect for you to do that stuff, because you can actually, if you care about how that influences your music, people liking it and all that, I think it could be a very powerful analytical tool for seeing how your stuff's doing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, for one, I feel like yourself, me, everybody that follows us, you know, we're kind of like one big producer community, and we learn things from each other. Even like you were mentioning earlier, like, let's just suppose you have a new expansion that comes out that I'm interested in. I might see you making a beat with it and like, oh, hey, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna go and pick that up, or vice versa. And then, I mean, even technique wise, you know, you might be doing some things that I want to learn. And, you know, for a lot of people that approach me, for example, asking me things about gear or how I did something, I do find it like flattering in a way, but I also like, I remember when I was in the shoes of an up and coming producer, and you know, back kind of when I started, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have like Twitter, YouTube, anything like that. So you know, had to really resort to a lot of reading books or going to other people's studios or having people come out to you and showing you how to do certain techniques, or you know, how to create. I remember like my mentor, you know, he actually, when I started learning how to create beats, he came down to my house and started to show me how to create beats. And I feel like instead of doing things like that, now it's on social media, and we take little nuggets from one person or two people and put them together and, you know, move that forward however we may do. And I think for the other aspect of it is like networking, kind of like we did, you know. I was looking for people to possibly be on the podcast, and you know, you reached out to me. And I think that for me, doing this podcast for a year, I noticed like a lot of the relationships that I built have been really great relationships over the last year with a lot of the past producers. And it's also helped me grow my network from a standpoint of like, maybe somebody that's following them may start to like what I do, and then vice versa. Like, somebody may hear your interview in a couple of weeks and say, hey, you know, Brent was cool. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna follow him. And, you know, you never know where that relationship might take you. So I think it in all, it's one big community, and we learn a lot. We take a lot from each other.
Yeah. So yeah, you bring up a point I kind of overlooked there. Yeah. The networking is insane nowadays compared to back then. And let me tell you, man, the reason I haven't been doing this since I was a kid is because, you know, I'm only 30 now, but man, when I was a kid, you know, YouTube wasn't even like it is now. YouTube was just some dude filming a crazy something that happened. You know, Google was barely, you know, you didn't just ask anything. It was a different time back then. And I was always told that, you know, you couldn't do that stuff. You couldn't just network. You couldn't go and get a job doing this and make money in music and stuff. So I just never wanted to do that stuff. Now it's the opposite. And I'm so glad I'm here now, at least, you know, better late than never. Because you're right. Like I can make stories all the time, and people start liking that and they start engaging more. And next thing you know, this guy wants to collab or something. And then maybe that collab was actually like the one I needed because it was like a good chemistry and it worked. And you never know what's going to happen and how well things are going to work with the music thing, man. It's the age of information. It's so fast and expansive that everything's instant. Like you said, you and me, we linked up with an idea immediately a long time ago. There's a lot of correspondence involved with that type of thing, have my people call your people type thing. It's just now I love that. You're absolutely right. Some of these people I write, they write back and we get involved in things, whether that's I need artwork done or I need a little piano part or just anything, man. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who's watching. That's something I always tell one of my best friends. He's a local artist here, Jeff Jarrett. He's amazing. If you ever look him up on YouTube, that guy's awesome. Guy can sing. He and I always have this sort of thing where it's like you just never know who's watching. You never know who's out there. I mean, you could be playing up there with your guitar and there's like 3 people in the whole room. Yeah, but that one guy, man, he might own Disney or something. You don't know. Like that guy watched you play like there was 100 people in that room and he loved it and he had a great night. And then, next thing you know, hey man, you want to play hard rock or something or whatever. It's just, you'd never know who's watching in that audience. So you just, I like that you've been doing this a year now too. I didn't know that. I think it's pretty inspiring because you see a lot of podcasts start and you see a lot of podcasts finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't see a lot that still kick it. You know what I mean? So it's great to be here. I'm glad you had me on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. It is tough. The biggest thing is finding people, because I kind of made this a weekly deal in some aspects. I may be slightly changing the format around. We'll see. But it's one of those things that some weeks I don't have to look for interviews. And then other weeks I gotta, go to 3, 4, 5 people until I find that one person that wants to come on. And I kind of learned how to navigate through it. And I also kind of learned what the viewers want to see. Instead of doing the interview just for doing it, making sure that, it's a quality conversation that we're having like we're doing right now. And a lot of people really appreciate, these conversations. And I get messages all the time, about like, Dee Dot, when can I be on the show? I really like this guest. And, it's helped me, like a lot of people's networks, including mine, have grown through a lot of these interviews. And it's just something that I want to keep going. And, something else that you said was, you never know who's watching. And, that brings me to like a lot of the content that I create as far as like beat making videos too, because I posted things like where I'm making a beat on Maschine and Native Instruments sees it and they retweet it. And I'm like, wow, that's something that I wouldn't mind actually doing some work later down the line with Native Instruments. Like I see a lot of these content creators do. That's kind of like one of my own personal goals. With the podcast in year 2, I hope it takes me a lot of great places and beyond. And, I look forward to what's ahead. Definitely look forward to what's ahead. What do you have, in fact, for 2022? What's on tap for you?
For 2022, man, definitely want to get more creatively hands-on. Instead of just having ideas and thinking about it forever, I want to take more action. And something I sleep on quite a bit is wanting to do something that's ambitious, but thinking I could do that. All I got to do is look up some stuff on that. And then what do I not do? I don't get around to looking up the stuff. So I just put off, like, for instance, now I got these lights. Like my video started off so bad, the big yellow soffit light. It was just
Yeah.
bad angle, shadows everywhere. And it took me a while. And I was like, man, just look up videos on how to do lighting and stuff. And so I bought a couple of things. It doesn't look the best yet, but you know, that's what a couple of bucks gets you. You know, I got the two-tone thing going on. And so things have been slowly coming up. So I think, yeah. So anyway, I'm at a point now where I would like to kick off streaming this year. I'm working on it. It's hard to get everything, the settings right because I have an older laptop and all that, but I'm working all that out. I have some music coming out this year. So I'm signed up with all the stuff I need, DistroKid to release. And man, I have like back burner goals to do some other things, but I think right now that's like enough on the plate. You know what I mean? Because I want to stream, I want to focus on that. I want to release my music, my personal music, because I do want to help other people work on their music. But I think a lot of that focus can tie into the streaming as well. Because what I want to do with my stream, man, is like help people get into finger drumming and stuff like that. People that don't know what's going on with like, how do I make hip hop drums? How do I make that kick sound swung? And how more so, how can I do that live? I like the performance playing. That's something I've been wanting to get better at forever, and finally started getting down with that. And I want to also show people, you know, kind of like Tatro does, but with like the drum aspect more so, you know, keep it a little less broad. He does like a whole song, you know, and teaches you all kinds of things. I want to be like, look, this is where the kick needs to be, you know, you need to do this and that maybe. And also I have some tricks for like how to get Ableton to do that with drum rack that I really kind of want to get out there. Because if anybody's like me, when all I had was this launch key, I couldn't really make drums like that. So I had to set up drum rack in a way that kind of played sort of like an MPC. So there's ways you can make it jam out, you know, and make do with the stuff that you have. Cause man, this thing is like 700 bones. So, but it ain't cheap. But like you said, the micro is definitely affordable. And I think there's even an MPC that's
Yeah.
along those lines. It's like a mini, isn't there? Something like that.
They came out, I think, MPC Studio, maybe.
Yeah. I think it's called the Studio. It's about the size of the micro.
No, and it's about the size of the micro, and it's really just a controller to use the MPC software. It's not a standalone device, but yeah, if you're looking to get into like Akai, and plus you can use it with any other application. I think you could even use it with the MPC apps on the iPad. So yeah, definitely. You know, you're looking at like at least $349. I think it might be $359.
Yeah, at least for the square layout with the pads, you know what I mean? To try to get into that. Because man, I tell you, it is hard because my launch key, they're all laid out in this horizontal line. And it's good for sampling and stuff. But if you're trying to lay down a performance beat, you know, like I do in a lot of my videos, it's next to, it's impossibly uncomfortable. It's ridiculous. It's not fun to make a beat on that. But yeah, like I said, on this thing, man, highly recommend the square pads if you're just trying to get into it.
Yeah. And you know, kind of back to another thing you said, you know, I want to get into some streaming myself this year at some point. I haven't really decided on, you know, what that's gonna look like. You know, maybe some nights I'll get on and make a beat, you know, with the community and take questions and things like that. And thinking also maybe even like bringing not necessarily a lengthy podcast session, but maybe like, I don't know, a 20-30 minute session with somebody that, you know, we could just talk online and things like that. The interview that the community can see. And I just want to get into streaming. The main thing is learning one of these applications and also finding something compatible. Because at the time, a year ago, I had actually looked into StreamYard, but StreamYard, I don't think at the time was compatible with Apple Silicon with the one processor. So hopefully they fix that, and I'll get back into StreamYard. But yeah, I wanna do some streaming because I feel like that's where everything is now. And even if you don't have a lot of people in your live stream, it's still content that people can come back to watch as well. Because not everybody's gonna be in the live session. In fact, I catch most of the lives that I watch after they're done.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't like to like. I'm weird, man. I can't sit in front of the computer to watch it like this, but I have Apple TV and I like to watch like the live streams on there. Only drawback to Apple TV is you can't type in the comments because there's no section. But I prefer sitting and watching those streams on my Apple TV. And sometimes I may get on my phone and type in a comment if I really want to say something bad enough. And then as far as releasing music, it's going to be like a lot of instrumental projects, or you also into like singing or rapping or anything like that?
Oh man. So both. I like to so I make the beats. I try not to like sing on them because it's just I'm way out of my element there. I'm a little too it's goofy, man. I don't need to be like rapping and stuff, but I love people that do, and I love working with people that do. It would be nice to find somebody that is along those lines of those old school artists, because I do love that style. I don't like things like, I just like old school. I want those old school vocals, man. I want to hear some like Nas style. I want to hear Big L style, like somebody with a personal flow that's them, and just goes in with the way they carried those flows, because now it's almost all melody. Now it's just so much melody, and it just don't, that's you get the vibe I want to go to with that. But I'm a big instrumental guy too. The reason I want to make more stuff with vocals though is because it's something I'm trying. I don't really, it's not something that's going to make or break me, but I've heard a lot of like Timbaland, T-Pain, guys like those, they won't even listen to a instrumental beat. So if I could somehow make something good with a vocal on it, and it just, send it out into space, and somehow it crashes on the right asteroid or something, and somebody liked it, like, that'd be great. But like I said, it wouldn't make or break. It's just something I want to do more. In my mind, I'm conscious, hey, you should probably get a couple of vocal tracks out there just to kind of have that under your belt. And I would like to do that more, because it also shows off some of your talent with working with a vocalist as well. And that could maybe, for me, music cover all your bases. You never know what kind of thing you might be doing next year. So just showcase your talent, and maybe in 2 years, you never thought that you'd be mixing for a vocalist or something like that, but now here you are. If you'd have never worked with vocals, you'd never been doing something like that, and that might be a way better job than you've ever had. So I don't know. I always think about stuff like that. It's weird.
Yeah. I mean, I used to have this thing about hearing my own voice on a record, but eventually I got used to it, and it's not that much of an issue to me anymore, man. I can't wait to hear what you come out with, man. So definitely, keep me posted on that.
Oh, for sure. I have a few going on right now that I'm keeping. I try to keep things kind of quiet. I've got some stuff on Instagram that's more like, I'm throwing a couple of pieces of kibble in the koi pond. You know what I mean? Like, here y'all go. Some stuff that I'm doing behind the scenes and stuff. But I do have a couple that I'm trying to release, but I'm trying to be better at not showing every time I create 8 bars. Not just going, hey, y'all, check out this check out this fire beat I got. And it's just 8 bars. Like, I try to hold myself accountable to actually work on the music and finish it now. So
Yeah,
I've got some good ones on there.
I know that feeling. It gets tough sometimes. Um, where can our viewers and our listeners find you online and all of your music and content?
So most of my stuff is going to be on, I try to keep Instagram, I guess, is my hub. So Bishop_91 on Instagram is probably the best way to kind of see what I'm up to, because I do post my updates and stuff there. My Spotify right now, I'm going under my real name, Brent Bishop. So you can pretty much, you'll find all the links on Instagram. Honestly, I have my Audius page there, so you can find my current music that I haven't mastered or released. It's just kind of just needs to be somewhere and be shared. Might be stuff that didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
But you can enjoy that stuff there. My YouTube, you'll find all the links and stuff on my Instagram.
Definitely. Well, hey Bishop, it was definitely, a pleasure having this conversation with you. And, first and foremost, I appreciate you reaching out. You're actually the first person that's going to be a part of season 3. So,
That's awesome.
Looking forward to that. And, anytime you have any type of, new music, new content, whatever that looks like, definitely feel free to reach out to me, and we'll do this again, man. I really appreciate you.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'll be more than I'll be more than happy to send you all my new stuff, man. Yeah, it's exciting. Here we are networking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the power of networking. Got to get out there and network
on Instagram too.
Oh yeah,
that's how we met, man.
Had a lot of that's probably my favorite place to meet other creators and producers is Instagram. So definitely
it seems like that's where everybody's at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's easy to find each other on there.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm all over these networks, but I feel like Instagram is my place for music production. Twitter is my place for sports. And Facebook is kind of like friends and coworkers. So.
For sure. It's definitely like that. I think everybody feels the same way, for sure. For sure.
Like to thank everybody for watching this episode of the Major Music Lounge. You can actually listen to episodes on every podcast platform, as well as watch new episodes of the Major Music Lounge on YouTube. And you can follow me also on Instagram at @D._Major Music. This has been another edition of the Major Music Lounge, and we are out.